I have a psalm up here, O Come Emmanuel, one of the most famous Christmas carols of all time. If you did not know, the band Skillet recently did a cover of this psalm. And in the cover, they drew mostly what I think, based off all the little bit of research that I did on it, mostly positive feedback. But there were a significant number of people in the minority who were just ripping them apart for this psalm. Because if you did not know, Skillet being a rock band, put a little bit of a rock flair on it. Now, I got critiqued on this a little bit when I did my Way FM video a little while back ago. If you did not know, I enjoy harder music. It's just what I grew up on. When I am doing my runs and my workouts, I am listening to Christian metal. I just love the intensity that it brings. And there are some amazing lyrics when you find the right Christian bands. That's not going to be everybody's flavor. And I understand that. I am not going to push that on anybody. Everybody has their own flavors when it comes to music. The main thing is, are the lyrics glorifying God? That's all I really care about. So Skillet being a rock band, once again, a band that I particularly I listened to a lot back in the day, like, like the 2000s, 2012, I believe it was, kind of time frame, somewhere around that. And a couple other songs are in rotation on my workout mix. But every now and again, they'll come out with something I'm just like, And not to mention, I really enjoy John Cooper, listening to his podcast. That's the lead singer of Skillet. He's got some great stuff that he puts out on there. You could tell, unlike a lot of these other bands in the Christian music world, they seem to honestly, truly be on fire for Christ and good theology. And just listen to some of his interviews and you'll hear it. But they've once again come under fire. And I wish I could play the psalm for you, but I would probably get like copyright strikes all over. They came out with a metal psalm of this. And I just absolutely, first, I just want to say I love the psalm. Like, as you can see here in one of the clips, he's singing the beginning lyrics, the O Come Emmanuel, here in a hospital bed. There's, it looks like some instruments going on back there, IV bag. The hospital bed is empty, and this is a psalm. If you ever look at the lyrics of O Come Emmanuel, it is a psalm of just longing and desire for the Lord to come back and to rescue his people from this fallen world. And it is such, a beautiful psalm of just the Christian heart crying out for our Savior to come get us. And I think this video does a really, really good job of capturing that. And then they have, the backdrop of them being inside a church. And then when they sing the rejoice, light starts coming in from the window. Like it is really, really beautiful. But the area that everybody has the hardest time with is this area right here, where they all of a sudden just go absolutely insane heavy metal. I'm trying to get it onto a good clip. And, there's typical screaming, head banging, drums banging, all those different things just going on. And some people were calling it demonic. People were calling it the devil's music. People were saying, I even saw one comment that said, music like this will be banned in the millennial kingdom. Oh, like you actually know that. Once again, everybody has their preferences. But what I don't like is this idea of people believing that you can't redeem rock music. Rock music is music. That's all it is. If there's no lyrics attached to it that make it unbiblical or wrong, then who cares? It's just music. And there's different flavors. There is Christian rap, there's Christian rock, there's Christian pop, there's Christian metal, there's Christian ska at one point in time when ska was famous. There's all these different genres of Christian music. Why not have bands in these areas, these genres? Like I said, growing up as a teenager, my mom was very, very, very judicious with the type of music that she allowed me to listen to. So I had to find alternatives to the hard metal stuff that I liked. And I found Christian bands and loved it. And honestly, their theology, while some of the bands theology was pretty weak, there were other bands whose theology was absolutely solid. And this psalm, in my mind, this Skillet psalm just absolutely blew it out of the water. It was great. But I do have to mention, I absolutely have to mention, they weren't the first ones to do this psalm. There was another band about 10 months ago, right around Christmas time, called Jesus Wannabes. They have a really cheesy name. They're also a metal band, but they are probably one of the most biblical metal bands I have ever heard in my life. Literally, most of their songs are just named after scriptures. And if you like rock music, highly encourage you to check out Jesus Wannabes. They did a version of this song. It actually included some elements of that Mannheim Steamroller, that da, 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 that in there. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's perfect. So I did have to throw that up there. I'm like, Jesus Wannabes did do it first. They did do it first, but the Skillet version is absolutely amazing. I see we got more people jumping in on the live chat. Jeffrey, I've been praying for you, my brother. I hope all is well with you, and happy Thanksgiving to you. But go check out these songs when you get the chance. These two versions. The Skillet version, once an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful, beautiful psalm. And then the Jesus Wannabes version as well is absolutely awesome. If you don't like metal, you're probably not going to like it. But what I don't want people saying is, oh, this is demonic. What makes it demonic? Because it's not the lyrics. If you believe guitars, electric guitars are demonic, then I want to hear why you came to that conclusion. How did you come to that conclusion? And defend that conclusion with the Bible. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. But let's go ahead and jump over to an article here that talks about this. So we'll go ahead and summarize it. So John Cooper defends Skillet's heavy O come Emmanuel after online backlash. And I will say online backlash is probably a little bit more dramatic than it should be, because I think vast majority of the people absolutely love the song. I don't think anybody who actually cares for Skillet would say that it was a bad song. There was only while it was a decent number of people, it was a minority of that. Jack 808, who comes in with great questions all the time, says, but what if the influence behind the person, if the person, what is the influence behind the person if the person is not a true believer? Well, if the person's not a true believer, then obviously I say pay no heed. That's my personal opinion. There are bands that I used to listen to back when I was younger, that were Christian bands, and they since came out and said, hey, I'm not Christian anymore. I stopped listening to them, period. I don't want, me personally, I did not want to put that around me at all. John Cooper, on the other hand, if you're like, once again, if you're not familiar, just go check out his Cooper Stuff podcast. Go check out, he's been on James White's podcast. He's been on multiple other people's shows. Just watch the interviews. If this man is not a true believer, and he has a whole bunch of people deceived, including me, I truly, when I hear him talking about the zeal he has for Christ and for the church and for Christianity as a whole, I mean, I absolutely believe it. Jeffrey put in here, I was taught as a kid anything outside of a piano and organist was demonic. Well, I'll tell you what, they didn't have pianos and organs back in King David's day. They had harps and stuff. Do we go back to that? Where do we draw that line? And I make the argument, you can feel free to absolutely disagree with me on this, but I do make the argument that the instrument is not evil. It's the person behind the instrument that makes it evil. What are those lyrics saying behind it? Who is the person behind it? Not what is the instrument that they are particularly using. Sala jumped in, said, oh my goodness, I made it. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I know it's been a while, Sala. I'm so glad that you are on and able to make it. And actually, I'll pop up the comments here for people to see. And then Big O's Pig, hopefully I said that right. John Cooper is biblically solid. And I absolutely, once again, agree. Goes on to say, I don't listen to any music if the artist is not a believer, regardless of the lyrics, is what he said. And that's of the same mind. Do I listen to some contemporary music every now and again? Absolutely, I do. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. I will say the amount of contemporary or secular music that I listen to has shrunk immensely, and it shrinks every single day. Like a random song on my iTunes playlist will pop up and I'll go, oh man, I listened to that? Yeah, not happening. I try to make, like I said, my workout playlist is either instrumental music or just straight up Christian rock and some Christian rap in there. Kathy jumped in, said, I used to be in the Church of Christ. No instruments at all. People in my college Facebook group are arguing if clapping, okay. Yeah, that is an interesting aspect about the Church of Christ. I have never actually met someone that has gone there. And I've often talked with my good buddy Jonathan, who I've had on this channel before. It would be interesting to have a conversation with one and how they biblically I've read online arguments, but I'd love to have a face-to-face conversation on how they defend their use of no instruments. Salwa gave her opinion. She said, I listen to secular music, however, monitored. If anything is off, I turn it off. And basically the same thing. And like I said, my secular music is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking by the minute. Eggs and Butter said, why is it evil? I can't find electric guitars in the KJV. If Paul didn't mention it in the original English, I'll stick to my piano and tambourine. IF breathing intensifies. Oh, Eggs and Butter. Yeah, that one went on smooth like butter. I'll tell you that. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into a little bit of what this article is saying. I'm glad y'all are coming out in full force on the comments tonight for that. So it says here, Skillet's take on the classic hymn, O Come Emmanuel. By the way, even just great. I love most of the arrangements of this psalm. Has sparked a wave of conversation across Christian and rock circles. The band's first official Christmas release. And by the way, I was hoping, this is just me, side note, I was hoping that they would just come out with a full-on Christmas album, because if this is what we can expect out of a Christmas album from Skillet, I'll take it all day long. He goes on to continue saying, as the song quickly gained traction on streaming platforms and social media, some critics pushed back, calling the arrangement too dark and accusing the band of mishandling a beloved hymn. In several recent interviews, and I get it, some people don't want to, what really grinds my gears, I guess you can say, is like when Chris Tomlin somehow grabs a hold of a random old beautiful hymn, throws a chorus on it, and then copyrights it for his own personal gain. That's what I personally don't like. But anyways, let's keep going on here. In several recent interviews and online comments, frontman John Cooper has addressed the backlash directly. Cooper made it clear that he is not angry with those who dislike the track or even those who label it satanic. He has talked about growing up in a home where rock music was viewed with suspicion, and he says he understands that many critics genuinely believe they are protecting something sacred. Because of that, he emphasized that he is not interested in attacking or mocking people who are uncomfortable with Skillet's sound. And that's a very mature way of answering that question. We got Deborah jumping in on here. Deborah, how have you been? You have not missed too much at all. We're only about 14 or 15 minutes in on this, but I'm glad you can make another live, Deborah. I haven't seen you in a while, and you've been in my thoughts and prayers. That is for sure. Kathy said there was no electricity back then to exist. Talking about Eggs and Butter, sarcastic comment there. And then Sala jumped in and said, doesn't the Church of Christ read about clapping and instruments in the Bible? The Church of Christ is the first church I attended when I became born again. Yeah, so and you got to correct me if I'm wrong here, and then Kathy probably knows since she attended. I believe that they say because the New Testament does not have any mention of instruments during worship. It does mention instruments. Go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love chapter. That's where you'll see mentions of instruments. But when it comes to actual instruments portrayed in worship, I don't think the New Testament mentions it. And I believe that is why they claim that they will not use instruments in their worship. I could be wrong, but I don't, once again, I just have a lot of disagreements with that. But you correct me if I'm wrong in there. Anybody who's a little bit more word or knowledge, or man, I cannot get my words. It is a Monday. But anybody who's got a little bit more knowledge than me in that subject. Going back over to the comments, it says here, at the same time, Cooper has firmly defended the band's creative choices and has pointed to Skillet's long history of openly sharing their faith on stage, hearing from listeners. I've never been to their concerts before, but I've heard some solid friends of mine who I do trust very, very well have been. They say they are sharing the gospel all the time. I'm not much for the showmanship and all that kind of stuff. But, I do love a good rock concert, so I won't, cast some stones over in that direction. But it says, who say the bands helped them through addiction, doubt, deep personal struggle. For Cooper, that track record is a part of why he's not shaken by harsh online reactions. He has suggested the controversy does not slow Skillet down. Instead, reinforces their sense of calling to keep making the type of music they believe they're meant to create. Did you know? I think Skillet has been around for like 30 years now. If you want to feel really old, hold on. Let's Google fact check that real quick. How long has Skillet been a band? Since 1996. Hold on, I'll share the tab. Since 1996. It has been like 30 years, about to be 30 years that they have been doing this. That is crazy. And they're still rocking out. If you go watch that video, because I don't know how, I think back in my day, maybe I could do some headbanging and all that stuff, but I definitely could not do it now. Probably end up in the hospital or something like that. Let's go ahead and jump back over to the article. Going on. Actually, I want to check out what y'all are saying in the comments here. Jeffrey said, I went to a Church of Christ funeral service earlier this year. They sung 6 songs, and it was weird not hearing any musical instruments. Saul also put, talking back to Jack and 808, protests can be very sensitive subject regarding the numerous amount of false prophecy. Personally, when I was in the charismatic movement, I had lots. I could not bear it. Yeah, I know a lot of y'all came out of that. Deborah Varney said, oh, yeah, absolutely, Deborah. You've always jumped on this show. I'm going to think about you, especially when I see your comments on there. It always brings my mind to prayer about you. But yeah, Kathy said 30 years. Wow, exactly. Jack said, my son loved Skillet when he was a little boy. And then Big OS Pig said, I remember seeing the first Skillet album or CD in my local Christian bookstore. So many other bands and artists have come and fallen away at that time. And that is such a great point. There are so many bands since the Skillet era, when they started and as they were getting more popularity that, like you said, have just fallen away. Like I remember when I was young, I loved listening to like Reliant K, I think was one of my favorite pop punk bands because I was in that phase of my life, and they had some really awesome, while they had some really silly lyrics in some songs, they had some really awesome, deep, reflective Christian lyrics in other songs. And then they basically fall away from the faith. I think last I checked, they were touring around with a trans guitar player. And I'm like, what happened? I mean, so many Christian bands from that era. Under Oath, there's another one. Under Oath, their drummer, Aaron Gillespie, I think his name was, he came out with a praise and worship album that I thought was awesome at the time, all to come to find out now that they're cursing up a storm in all their songs. They basically, I don't know if they flat out reject their faith, but at least it shows like they're showing some true colors now, apparently. All these things, it's very, very sad that you see this happening across Christian music, but Skillet has remained solid. So just to, maybe we beat this drum long enough on this, but I just couldn't believe that there were people that were so vehemently offended. Like I said, the one comment that kind of set me off was somebody, I wish I screenshot it and saved it, but somebody was straight up said, music like this will be banned in the millennial kingdom. Like, where did you get that from? Where did you read that from? Oh my goodness gracious. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the next topic, unless y'all got more that y'all want to talk about on this, because like I said, if you go check out the video, and that's an awesome freeze frame right there. If you go check out the video, man, it is a beautiful video. Just like I said, the artistic interpretations, like I said, I love it when the light comes in, when they're saying, oh, rejoice, rejoice. This is such a beautiful, beautiful Christmas hymn. And for them to do what they did with it and the music video on top of it, I think it just made it all the better. I wonder if I could play it without the sound and it won't copyright me. Probably needs to, you guys can actually see it here, but I just thought it was gorgeous. I thought it was a very, very beautiful rendition. And I highly encourage you to check it out. And especially Cooper's voice in this, it's just, he's got that raspy voice. Very, very awesome. to listen to. But go check it out when you get a chance. I mean, it's doing great. It's got 1.2 million views as of 10 days ago. It's the number 79 music video in YouTube. I mean, and that's pretty good for a Christian band. We should be happy with that. People are probably going out looking for more Christian Christian Christmas hymn. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say as this is going on. So hopefully that is the case. And who knows what seeds could be planted through something like this to somebody that needs to hear it. Once again, Skillet being a very, very solid choice band to listen to, I think. That's just my personal opinion. Like I said, I know it's not everybody's sheet of music, no pun intended, but I think it's God glorifying. That's my personal opinion on it. And I can't, once again, not fail to mention, go check out the other version that came out like 10 months ago by the band Jesus Wannabes. Cheesy name. I really wish they would change their name, but they have some of the most biblical, if you like rock music, they have some of the most biblical lyrics I have ever heard ever. In fact, I'll just go really quickly over to their channel because I think it's just worth looking at it. I mean, the names of their psalms are, look at this, Psalm 51, Psalm 42, Psalm 103, 2 Timothy 2, Romans 7, Ephesians 5, Ephesians 4, Ephesians 3. They do 2, they do Ephesians 1. It's just really awesome lyrics. My buddy Brian, who I often talk to, he pops on here every now and again as Range 01. He does not like Christian rock at all, but he will listen to them when he's working out now. Just like I said, the lyrics, I just stop sometimes in the middle of my workout and I'm like, praise you, God.